Voices of Today presents Les Diaboliques by Jules Barbey d'Aurevilly. English translation published anonymously by the Lutetian Bibliophile Society in 1900, under the title Weird Women. Narrated by Cate Barratt and John Burlinson.
The Crimson Curtain by Jules Barbey d'Aurevilly. Narrated by John Burlinson. It is now a considerable number of years ago that I went to shoot waterfowl in the marshes in the west, and, as there was no railway then, I took the diligence, which passed the crossroads near the Château de Rouen, and which at that precise moment only contained one person in the coupé. This person, a very remarkable man in every respect, and whom I knew by having often met him in society, I will ask your permission to introduce as the Vicomte de Brossard. The precaution is probably useless. A few hundreds of persons who constitute Parisian society are no doubt able to supply the real name. It was about 5 o'clock in the evening. The sun shed its slanting rays on a dusty road, edged with poplar trees, and fields, through which we rattled, drawn by 4 stout horses, whose strong flanks rolled heavily at each crack of the postillon's whip. A postillon always reminds me of life. There is a great deal too much whip-cracking at the outset. Vicomte de Brossard was at that time of life when he was no longer disposed to crack his whip. But he was one of those men worthy of being an Englishman. He was educated in England, and if he had been mortally wounded, would have died declaring he was alive. In the world, and even in books, we are used to laugh at the pretensions to youth of those who have passed the happy age of inexperience and foolishness. And the custom is not a bad one, when the pretensions have ridiculous form. But when they do not, but, on the contrary, assume a pride that will not confess defeat, I do not say that they are not senseless, for they are useless, but they deserve respect, like many other senseless things. If it was heroic of the guards at Waterloo to die and not surrender, it is the same when we are face to face with old age, which is not as romantic as bayonets. Some heads are built in a military manner, never to surrender, and that is the whole question, as it was at Waterloo. Vicomte de Brossard, who has not surrendered, he is still alive, and I will tell you about him later, for it is worth knowing. Vicomte de Brossard was then, at the time when I travelled with him in the diligence, what the world, which is as spiteful as an old woman, rudely calls an old beau. For those who care little for words or figures, and who deem that in the matter of age a man is only as old as he appears to be, Vicomte de Brossard might have passed for a beau without any qualification. At least, at that very time the Marquise de V, who had shaved a dozen men as clean as Delilah shaved Samson, wore, with much pride, in an enamelled gold bracelet, one of the ends of the Vicomte's moustache, of which time, or the devil, had not changed the colour. Only, whether old or not, do not attach to the expression beau, as the world has done, an idea of someone frivolous, lean, and cadaverous, for you would not have a proper notion of Vicomte de Brossard, in whom everything, intellect, manners, physiognomy, was large, opulent, redolent of patrician calmness, as befitted the most magnificent dandy I have ever known. I, who have seen Brummel go mad, and d'Orsay die. For he was really a true dandy. If he had been less so, he would certainly have become Marshal of France. He had been in his youth one of the most
Sample complete. Ready to continue?